Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a brand new deck profile for you today. This is my 60 card Odd Ice Pendulum deck. This is actually the very first Pendulum deck I've ever presented on this channel. In fact, I've had this deck for a while too, but never really got around to finishing it, but mainly because I didn't have the rest of the cards I really needed, but I just recently got what I've been looking for, and I'm really happy with it, so I can finally complete this deck. And as y'all saw in my Mega Tins opening, I finally got me an Electrumite. I'm kind of glad I chose not to pick up two more because, Electrumite got hit and all. So, it's been 1 week since the ban list came out, and I figured another post-ban list deck profile was in order. So, I figured the next one I should do is Pendulums. So, let's go and get started. So this is mainly focusing on Odd Ice, and I'll explain what the theory behind this deck is as we go on actually. So, starting off, you're going to be running, of course, 3 copies of Odd Ice Arc Pendulum Dragon. Literally one of the best cards in this whole deck. His Pendulum ability is amazing. Okay, so if an Odd Ice card is destroyed, you can special summon one Odd Ice monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So, but he has to be, of course, on your Pendulum scale. I also like him because he's easy Dragon Shrine fodder because, you can send him and Dark Worm into the graveyard together. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like to run 3 of these guys. Moving on, you're going to be running 3 copies of Odd Ice Pendulum Dragon. Another amazing card, and these two literally combo really well with each other. So, if you set the scales 4 and 8 with Pendulum and Arc Pendulum, at the end phase, if Pendulum Dragon is on your Pendulum scale, you can pop it, and then add 1 Pendulum monster with 1500 or less attack points to your hand, and of course that can trigger off Odd Ice Arc Pendulum Dragon's effect. Also, whenever Pendulum Dragon deals battle damage, the damage is doubled, so an amazing card. I'm only running 2 copies of Odd Ice Persona Dragon. I did run it at 3, but it got cloggy at 3. I kept opening up with it for some reason, so I figured just 2 was enough. And it's searchable. You got more than one way to search it out, so that's why I only run it at 2. Same thing goes for Odd Ice Phantom Dragon, which I really love, by the way. Oh, and Persona Dragon, his monster effect is great because once per turn in its quick effect, you can target one monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, and its effects are negated until the end of the turn. Phantom Dragon, though, when he does battle damage, you can inflict 1200 points of damage for equal to the number of Odd Ice cards you control. But it's only on the Pendulum zones. So if you have 2 Odd Ice, so that's 2400 points of damage. Also, his Pendulum ability is that whenever your Odd Ice monster engages in battle, but it only works while you have another Odd Ice in the Pendulum zone, you can make that monster gain 1200 attack points, the one that's battling, so it's a great card as well. And it also works even if it leaves the field, as it specifies in the parentheses. Alright, so moving on, we got Odd Ice Dissolver, which I really love. It's a free summon whenever you engage in battle involving a Pendulum monster. And during your main phase, you can you can fusion summon using this card plus one other fusion material from your field as well. I believe it also works on your hand. I could be wrong. Let's see. From your extra deck, using this card as fusion material as well as monsters you control, or in your Pendulum zones too, so that's actually pretty good. And its Pendulum ability just lets you fusion summon 1 dragon monster from the extra deck using monsters from your hand or on the field as fusion materials. And of course we have Odd Ice Synchron, which pretty much does the same thing, only instead of fusion summoning, it's synchro summoning. So, pretty standard stuff. Next up we got Supreme King Dragon Odd Ice, which is a level 8, by the way. It's kind of weird. I thought it was level 7, but apparently I was wrong. But he still has a great effect. You contribute 2 Supreme King monsters, special summon this card from your hand. If this Pendulum monster battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage is also doubled. During the battle phase, quick effect, you contribute this card, special summon up to 2 face-up Supreme King Dragons or Supreme King Gates from your extra deck zone, back in defense mode. So great card just to bring out free monsters, and also it's a free summon if you have 2 Supreme King Dark Worms, for example. So yeah. And the last of our Odd Ice is Odd Ice Lancer Dragon, which is the only non-pendulum monster I run in this deck because I like his ability when he attacks, your opponent cannot activate spells or traps. So great card, and it's 3000k beat stack, and it's summonable through Arc Pendulum Dragon. So amazing card. Alright, so moving on to the side engines of our Odd Ice deck, we have 3 copies of Dark Worms. By now everyone already knows what this does. If it's in your graveyard, it's practically a free summon as long as you control no monsters. When it's normal or special summoned, you get to add either the Gate 0 or the Gate Infinity from your deck to your hand. I like to run 2 of each because, reason being is because if they're set as your pendulum skills, you can pop them both, search out any polymerization or fusion card. Of course, it only works if it says fusion in its name. But we run Odd Ice Fusion naturally, so that's why I like to run it as is. Alright, so now we're moving into the Pen Magician engine. I know this doesn't necessarily, or actually, no, I wouldn't consider this Pen Magicians, but we do have Magical Abductor, which is really necessary for this deck, because you're going to be activating spells a lot. But each time you activate a spell, and while this card's in your Pendulum Zone, of course, you get to put a spell counter, and then also, if you have 3 spell counters, you can remove all 3, add 1 Pendulum card from your deck to your hand. For added consistency, we run Abyss Actor Curtain Raiser, or Riser, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's like Dark Worm. It's a free summon, but it has to be in your Pendulum skill. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your Pendulum Zone, and that's pretty much it. That's all you really do with it. And the fact that it just gives you easy access to Electrumite, that's actually like one of the best things. So now for we will go into the Pen Magician engine. Of course, we're running 3 Chronographs, one of the best cards for the Pen Magician engine. If any cards you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card plus 1 other monster, so it's a great card. And if you put this card in your Pendulum Zone, pop it, you can either special summon Time Gazer Magician from your deck, or place it in your Pendulum skill. But again, it's just there for, well, Time Gazer is just there to get easy access to Electrumite and all that stuff, so that's one of the reasons I like to run it. Of course, you're going to be running 3 Harmonizing Magicians, just because Tuning Magician sucks, I'm sorry. But when this card is special summoned, through Pendulum Summon from your hand, you can special summon 1 Magician monster from your deck to the field, but its effects are negated. But unfortunately, with this card, you can't exceed, Synchro, or Fusion Summon unless your other materials are Magicians, but that's generally not a problem. We got plenty of Magicians in this deck to, use it for, like, Fusion or Synchro and all that good stuff. But generally, I just like her Pendulum effect a little bit more because, you can all your monsters gain 100 attack and defense points for each Magician in the Pendulum. Or for each face-up Magician Pendulum monster with different names in your extra deck. Jeez, I can't talk today, I'm sorry. Alright, so moving on, we got the 1 Black Fang, just standard, Same with Purple Poison, by now everyone already knows what these do. Even Oath Dragon is a thing because it helps me bring back, like, face-up Magician or Odd Ice monsters from my extra deck, as long as my other Pendulum Zone is a Magician monster. And finally, 1 Zanki Magician. All pretty standard, because this also makes Exceeds monsters level monsters. And also, once per turn, during either player's turn, you can target 1 light monster on the field, negate that face-up monster's effects until the end of the turn. So, all amazing cards, definitely run these. And yeah, just have a lot of fun with it. So moving on to the spells, we got 3 Sky Iris, which is great, keeps your opponent from targeting all Performapal, Magician, or Odd Ice monsters in your Pendulum Zones. You can target 1 other face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, add 1 Odd Ice card from your deck to your hand, so it searches out like Spiral Flame Strike, Odd Ice Fusion, or your Odd Ice monsters. And of course with Arc Pendulum, you can trigger off its effects with Sky Iris if you pop a Odd Ice card. Which comes to our next Odd Ice card, Spiral Flame Strike. Amazing card, searches out any level 7 Odd Ice, or if you control an Odd Ice card, you get to destroy 1 card on your opponent's side of the field. Next up, we got 3 copies of Odd Ice Fusion, which is all standard, because again, the theory behind this deck, I should probably start talking about, is to bring out Supreme King Zark, Odd Ice Venom Dragon, or Odd Ice Vortex Dragon with ease, and trust me, I've managed to bring out, like, either one, or, like, pretty much all of them in every duel. We got 2 Terraformings, which it's only a 2 anyway, but I only ever ran it at 2 with this deck. 2 Duelist Alliance, just because, like, 3 got cloggy, and plus, you can only search out cards that have Pendulum in its name. And unfortunately, that selection is fairly limited, so that's why I only run it at 2 now. 3 Dragon Shrines, along with a Foolish Burial. You want to open up with these as quickly as you can, just because helps you get Dark Worm to the graveyard as quickly as possible. So that's why I like to run it this way. 2 Pot of Desires. I might bump it up to 3 just because, since it's 60 cards, Pot of Desires really does not force you to deck out at all. In fact, half the time it always comes in handy because I was drawn to what I really need, you know. Against mirror matches, I feel like this card was actually the best option, Wavering Eyes. And trust me, you will still see Pendulum players, so Wavering Eyes is definitely a great option. Plus, like, if you banish pop 4 Pendulum Zones, you get to banish 1 card on the field and add another copy of Wavering Eyes, so that's why it's really good, and also searches out your Pendulum cards. And the only trap we run is Pendulum Switch. It's searchable through Duelist Alliance. But yeah, the reason I like to run is because, like, since I play Odd Eyes Venom Dragon and Supreme King Zark in my extra deck, it helps me, you know, switch out, you know, like, especially with Odd Eyes Venom Dragon, which I'll get to in just a moment. This card just really combos off so well. It's just crazy good. Alright, so moving on to the extra deck, of course we got 1 Electrumite. Still a great card, even though it's at 1. It's just there to extend. 1 Wheat Witch's Apprentice. A big majority of our deck is Dark type, so that's why I like to run it. 1 Zephyr Metaltron. Just mainly for the arrows, but its effect where, like, if it's destroyed by battle or by an opponent's card effect, you can add 1 monster in your graveyard or face a pendulum monster from your extra deck back to your hand. So it's still a pretty good card. Now, the best card in this deck is, or in this extra deck, is Saryuja's Skulldrake. This card has given me so much card advantage. It's just crazy. That's why I like to run it in Odd Eyes, because not only is that, like, crazy easy to make on almost every time I played Odd Eyes, I always get it off on my first turn, and I can literally get all my strongest fusion or Xyz monsters out on the field as well. So that's why I like to run them, and it's just badass. For the only Xyz monsters we're running are 2 copies of Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, which of course you definitely need a lot, because you're going to be summoning out Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon or Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon with it. So it's definitely an important staple to run. We got Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, mainly just because, like, I couldn't make room for Odd Eyes Gravity Dragon, so I went with the next best thing. Red Eyes Flare Metal. As long as it has Xyz material, your opponent takes 500 points of damage for every time he activates an effect. So, yeah. And finally, 1 Norito, the Moral Leader. We have plenty of level 6s. We got 3 Chronographs and, of course, the Oath Dragon Magician. So, it's really easy to make, and plus, it's just like, that way Chronograph and Oath Dragon don't end up being dead cards on the field. But yeah, Norito, you know, you want to be able to negate spells and traps. For the Synchro monsters, we're only running 3. 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon, pretty easy to make. But the one I prefer is Supreme King Dragon Clearwing. I wish there was a super rarity for this. But mainly just because, you know, his ability destroys your opponent's monsters once per turn during damage calculation, and your opponent takes burn damage for it. And of course, I mentioned running 1 Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. Amazing card just because your opponent cannot activate monster effects during the battle phase. So, amazing card. I love it. It also, when it's special summoned, you can special summon 1 Odd Eyes monster, one Odd Eyes monster from your Pendulum Zone. Or actually, no, just as target 1 card in your Pendulum Zone, special summon it. Also, this card cannot attack, but overall, it's still a great card. For the fusions, of course, 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. You gotta run it mainly just to get Odd Eyes Venom Dragon out, because it requires a Starving Venom monster. Sadly, Supreme King Starving Venom is banned, which actually made this a whole lot easier, but it's gone. 1 Odd Eyes Vortex, which negates everything, which, of course, you have to shuffle back a Pendulum card from your extra deck back into your main deck as cost. But overall, it's a great card, and it's quick effect, so yeah. 1 Odd Eyes Venom Dragon, which basically does the same thing as Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, but a little bit better. But I like its secondary effect, where it's destroyed. You can target 1 monster in your Pendulum Zone, special summon it, and place this card in your Pendulum Zone. And that's why I run Pendulum Switch, because you can switch it back out. And the fact that it's got 3,300 attack points is definitely an understatement. It's definitely a great powerhouse card. And finally, our primary boss monster, Supreme King Zark. You're going to be able to get this card out fairly easily, because the fact that you can easily get a Pendulum, a Synchro, a Fusion, and an Xyz monster out on one board, it's not hard. And the fact that Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon is summonable through our Pendulum's effect after it's popped or something, you can bring it right back. So, yeah, that's usually my combo with that. And of course, you're going to be running 4 ways to Fusion Summon with Odd Eyes Dissolver and Odd Eyes Fusion. So that's how you can bring out Zark as quickly as you can, and that's usually what you want to bring out, because this card cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And once he's summoned, he wipes out your opponent's entire board. So that's why I like to run it as is. Well, anyway, I didn't want to get too much detail considering that this was 60 cards. But if you guys want me to do a tutorial video, I will definitely love to make one for you guys. And yeah, I'll catch you guys again next time.